Welcome to Teen Talk, Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior. I am Pei-I. I'm a parenting and teen challenging behavior specialist at Rainbow Parenting Practice. Over the last 30 years, I've worked with children, teenagers, and then families with various complex needs across different settings. But it is my personal story, being a troubled teenager, that led me to the creation of my innovative parenting method, Thriving Together Parenting Method. It can help you and your team to have a more loving, respect-driven relationship and the happiness and harmony in your family home in 90 days. No matter what challenging behavior it is, how challenging it has been, and for however long your family has been in a difficult place. Many families came to me when they were in crisis or at breaking point. My TTP method is the secret to their transformative family lives. It can be yours too. I am thrilled for you to be here, and that possibly means you are a successful but stressed out parent who is managing a very demanding job but struggling to know what to do and how to help your troubled teen who is stuck in patterns of challenging behavior. You're fed up with trying everything but nothing works. You're looking for solutions yesterday and are determined to do whatever it takes to help your teen and family thrive. At Teen Talk, Navigating Teen Challenging Behavior, I will share all the insights I've learned from working with families and their teenagers over the years. I will not hold back. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome to Teen Talk. This is Pei-I. I'm the host for the show. And sadly, we don't have Belle today, my teenager co-host, because she's not feeling too well. But we are going to soldier on with our topic for today. And before I actually get on the show, I was thinking, maybe I should invite my husband to be the co-host for today, just to step in. So then it becomes more conversational rather than me talking about a certain topic for 20 minutes. But then I thought to myself, I am sure I can talk for 20 minutes in this show. And at the same time, I was also thinking about, do I continue to carry the tradition between me and Belle to shuffle the cards and just decide what topic I will be talking about today? And my third thought is maybe I can take the opportunity to actually speak about topics that people or professionals don't talk about very often, yet very important subjects. Guess which option I'm going for? Actually, it's the third option. I'm going to speak about teen aggression today. And that includes physical and verbal aggression. And what I mean by verbal aggression includes like shouting, swearing, calling your name under the sun, and or verbally threatening, like, I'm gonna kill you, or I'm gonna hurt you if you do this. And to physical aggression, that will include throwing things, hitting out, slamming doors, or punching walls, and breaking furnitures, breaking their televisions, or physically intimidating and hurting someone, actually. And in the past 10 years, I have worked with so many teenagers, so many families who actually experience these difficulties, right? The teenagers being really violent, both verbally and physically, like on a daily basis. However, there is really not enough support out there. And this is also not a topic being talked about or being thought about very often by the professionals, and thinking about how much resources, what kind of resources can we put out there to support teenagers. I mean, let's be honest, this is a difficult period of time. Your teenagers are growing up, their hormones and biologically it's changing. And while there's some reasons that is driving their, aggression might be biological, but there are also some other things we need to look at. And I can also understand like why parents don't talk about this very often, because it's embarrassing for them. And then also the society carries a lot of judgment And people could be very judgmental, thinking, oh, well, how can you not manage your teenager? And how are you allowing them to be hitting you or throwing furniture or threatening you or speaking to you like that? Right? And the judgment is really cruel. So I can understand why parents don't want to speak about these things or talk about these things with others. And when you don't talk about these things, it's even more harder or like even more difficult to know where and how to find support. And you, like I say earlier, like the teenagers I work with carry hammers or butter knife or knife threatening. And of course, the parents, I think their call is to really call the police. Like, come and help us. Come and help us. It's not feeling safe. And if you have younger children at home, it's even more difficult to manage because you have to think about everybody's safety and your safety, including your teenager who is aggression safety, if they're punching walls, if they're hurting themselves, and all these things. So there's a lot to contend with. So I suppose my first point is we do probably need to be, not we do probably, like I think we do need to be kinder to ourselves and to other parents who are experiencing the difficulties at home because it's really, really not easy and it's really, really scary. Can you imagine you're walking on eggshells every single day, not knowing when your teenager is going to kick off or having a aggressive episode? And don't think that these parents have not tried. They have tried everything, strategies, to help their teenagers. The difficulties are always about, is it the right strategies to try? And it's a really complex subject, but this is something I teach parents all the time is the 5 proven method and steps how you can de-escalate, help your teen to manage their aggression or big feelings more constructively without hurting anyone in the family home. But we'll come to that a bit later. And I suppose maybe this is a good time for you to think about if this is the challenge you are experiencing at home, and who you can reach out for support and who you can speak to for support. Because in the end of the day, the police can only do so much when things are getting escalated, right? When things escalate, you phone the police, they come, they settle the situation, and they leave. And they probably will tell your teenager, you can't behave this way. You can't treat your parents this way, right? But then after they leave, the next maybe 20 minutes later, your teen gets upset again and then start being aggressive, right? And I think it's really, really important to say because the public has been, or the government have been trying to raise awareness, and for many, many years now, it's like domestic violence is not okay, and it not necessarily means to parents, and we are not allowing another person, another adult to hurt us. So my question is, why are we allowing our teenager children to hurt us? Right? So it's really, really important to think about this and definitely make sure you reach out for support. Right. Now let's think about I today want to share with you my 5 proven steps method to help you think about your teen aggression. And so then hopefully with these strategy, the step, it can help you to feel more at ease and relaxed. However, whether if this can be carried out thoroughly comprehensively is another layer of challenge. So if you do struggle with the 5 steps, do reach out, and I do have an email, and I'm sorry I don't remember my Teen Talks email, but my email address is inquiries@rainbowparentingpractice.com. So now let's think about the 5 steps. So the first step, right, for any parenting strategies, for any single behavior you want to make it work, you really need to think about what is driving the behavior. Yeah. So now we're talking about your teenager's aggressive behavior. That is the behavior we want to look at. So what is keeping the behavior at home? What is keeping the behavior sustained? What is driving your teenager every time he gets upset or something happens, she, they escalate, right? However, sometimes it could be very, very difficult to know what is driving it because you're in it so often and you can lose the objectivity. However, it can also be very helpful because you're in it all the time. You know what triggers your teenager. You know how you manage those situations. And so let's look at this. There is a really helpful tool that I teach the parents to use. It's called tracking. Right, this will be the first tool. The first step, if you're not sure what is driving your teenager's behavior, you want to be thinking about tracking, or I call them sequencing. Both good is either way is fine, right? So what it means is you want to be tracking your teenager's aggressive behavior episode. So you'll be thinking about, so say yesterday something happened. You want to be thinking about the antecedent reasons. So before he actually gets upset, what happened? And it's a bit like you're watching a film. I have to say, it's really difficult just to talk to yourself and looking at your screen. It's not that easy, right? So if I do pause and hesitate, please do forgive me. I'm practicing this. And it's always easier to have somebody to speak to and they become more conversational. So let's carry on. So then I was talking about tracking a sequence. It's like a bit you're watching a film. Do you know how you watch a film? It's like every single movement. Who says who says what, where is the person, and then where is the other person, what they're doing, where were they positioning themselves in the room. So it's like you're watching the film, right? So every single steps you can clearly see that. So then you want to be writing down the sequence, tracking the episode, the aggression episode. So you'll be thinking about, let me just give an example. So like yesterday, my teenager came home. I can see like he looked a bit upset. So I asked him how he was. He didn't respond. Then he threw his bag on the floor at the corridor and then slammed the door and walked into his bedroom. So I got a bit upset and angry, thinking I was being really nice, trying to ask you how you were, and yet you responded that way. So I went to his bedroom door, knock on the door and go, "What's wrong with you? I was being really nice here." And your teenager just ignored you. So you knocked again. And then eventually teenagers came out, it's like swearing and shouting, "What the F?" and all these things. "I told you to leave me alone." And then you got really angry as well. Right. So this is just an example of the tracking. So you want to track what you say, what he said, and how it ended as well. Because this episode could be ended like my teenager hit out, and pushed me outside of the bedroom. And I got so angry. And then I phoned the police, my kid just hurt me and now he's just smashing the furniture and everything. I don't feel safe. Can police come? The police came, tried to speak to my son. And then my son's like, whatever, this happens all the time. And then the police left. I was really angry. I was like, "You will not do this to me again. You're grounded forever. Maybe actually you're grounded for a month." And my son swore at me again, going like F off, and left. And I got really angry. It's like, "You are grounded forever." Right. So this is the house sequence until the next morning. We're still not speaking to each other, and I can see he's still very angry. And he went to school. Then I went to work. Right. And then this sequence might continue. So you want to be tracking this sequence, because what will happen is this sequence gives you an idea as to what is really driving the behavior. right? And that comes to my step 2. And this is one of the tool I teach the parents who work with me. It's called Thriving Together Parenting, a Thriving Together Family Behavioral Map. What we're looking at is what are some of the system drivers that is driving your teenager's behavior. And based on the episode, the sequence I just provided, you can see that actually part of it, I was escalating the situation. My tone of voice wasn't helpful. So that could be one possible driver. The second driver is I was probably not paying attention to the signs of escalation, the signs of his stress, because he entered the door, was already quite stressed, and I was persistent in terms of trying to find out how he was, and then he escalates. And the third one is we can see that as the conflicts between us. You know, me and my son could be arguing all the time over little things, but from the sequence, my son also seems to be struggling with regulate his feelings, right? So that could be another driver for the contributing reasons and driver for my son to be aggressive. And the other one is like, I am also struggling to self-regulate my feelings. So you see how these drivers could contribute to your teenager's aggression. And it's not just about your teenager. There's some other system drivers that is driving your teen. And you probably want to think about why is, for this example, why is my son coming home so upset and stressed already? Did something happen in school? Yeah, so then that could be a school driver. Or did something happen with his peers, his friends? Did they fall out? Yeah, so that could be another driver, the peer reason. Maybe they fall out, they don't know how to problem solve, they don't know how to repair the relationship. So your teen is still, my son's still carrying a lot of feelings. So that is the thing we need to look at is what are the contributing factors that is driving and maintaining my teenager's aggression at home. And I've given some example of that. And then the other one is quite obvious, is me. I was very aggressive myself. I was shouting, swearing. I was shouting, not swearing. I was shouting at my son. Oh, by the way, disclaimer. I hope I have not sworn at all. I don't think I have because I don't really swear. And whatever I say in this sequence, it's just for example. Okay. And you can cover your ears if you don't want to hear it. But that may be too late now because I already said it. Anyway, so carry on. So that's what we need to think about. So that's step 2. Then what happened is step 3 is when you know what these contributing factors are, then you can develop strategies to help your teenagers. However, for today's purpose, we are going to talk about de-escalation strategies because when we talk about de-escalation strategies, that actually covers a lot of areas. And you know, for the contributing reasons we just talked about, because when we're talking about de-escalation strategy, we're not just talking about the strategy you need to use to de-escalate. We're also thinking about myself as a parent. What strategy do I need to use to self-regulate first? Yeah. Then we also need to think about what are the warning signs for my teenagers? What would I notice? What would I know? What would be the first warning signs that I know? And when I see, I will know, oh God, my son, I know he's going to escalate now. So I better pause and not do anything or say anything further to escalate the situation. And I'm not telling you, this is not me saying like, don't do anything or try to be, you know, shying away from it. No, I'm saying this is when you need to take control to decide, actually, I can see my son really upset. Let me try to distract him, offer him a hot chocolate or do something different. Yeah. So then that's the thing we need to think about. What are the warning signs? How would I see? Is it like he start to raise his voice? That could be the first warning sign. Or can I see special expression changes? Then I was like, oh, he's going to get upset. Or does he clench his fist? So then I can see, oh, okay, that could be. So you need to pay attention to the warning signs. And then you probably also need to think about the triggers. What triggers my sons, your teenagers say, oh, by the way, I don't have a son. So that is just an example I was giving to you. And you need to think about what are the triggers. Is it when he doesn't get good grades, or when I say no, that triggers him, or when he's between with his siblings, that he gets triggers very often. So you want to think about the triggers, right? And this part of the de-escalation strategy, you also want to think about your teenagers, right? Because I already talk about myself as a parent. What do I need to do? How do I self-regulate? Then you also need to think about your teenagers. What strategies can my teenagers use to self-regulate? Yeah, in those moments when I'm so worked up, what can I do? Is it to listening to the radio, or listen? Who's listening to the radio these days? I think, right, they're probably listening to I'm talking about teenagers, listening to music, or is it listening, or is it reading? Some people read, some teenagers like to read, or is it go for a walk, cuddle your dogs? I don't know. So think about what strategy, and this is the part you really need to invite your teenagers to think about it. So then they can practice, practice, and not only practice when things are getting difficult. You need to practice when things are not difficult. So it's easier for them to use the strategies when things are difficult. Then we also need to think about other people in the families, what they're doing. We all have the experience, like when you're trying to manage the situation. Somebody comes in and says something. It could be your partner, it could be a younger sibling, or it could be granny, it could be grandpa, and they just want to be helpful. But sometimes it could escalate the behavior. So, or the situation. So you'll be thinking about, what about these people? What are they going to do, when things are difficult? How would I want them to help me? Right. So when I'm talking about the escalation strategies, it's not just about the strategies themselves, because there are many different strategies. You can use sense of humor. When you see the signs of escalation, you can distract, you can direct, right? But there's a bigger picture here. And why the third step is to look at the de-escalation strategy, but we're only tackling some of the drivers, not all of the drivers, right? Because we're talking about the PALs, the peer problem solving. How do they repair rupture? How do they work that part? So, but coming back to this, I suppose what I'm going to say is, when you're trying to help your teen, trying to manage your teen's aggression, there is a lot to think about. And de-escalation strategies is just part of the intervention and steps you can do. And even within this de-escalation strategies, you're thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your teenager, you're thinking about other people in the family home, you're thinking about the signs, you're thinking about the triggers, in order to be able to de-escalate successfully every single time. So once you know how to de-escalate, then you know how to work around other stuff, whether it's about the problem solving skills that your teen is struggling with, or is it because me and my son are always arguing, then we can work on our relationship, right? So you see, and that's why most parents I work with struggle to de-escalate or to address the aggression behavior, because it's not always just about the escalation strategies. There's so many things that are driving your teenager's aggression behavior. And this is the part not every parent, specialist, or coach will be able to show you how to do it. So it's really, really important. Make sure you find someone who knows how to do these things to support you with the teen aggression. And of course, this is my tool that I'm helping the family with, and parents who work with me will know about how to do the Thriving Together Family Behavior Map. Or you can follow me actually on LinkedIn, and I also have a YouTube channel in addition to the podcast. I'm always teaching parents certain, what I teach in my 90-day program. So do follow me. I think it's still called the same thing. It's Teen Talk, Navigating Challenging Behavior. Right, so that's the third steps. So the fourth steps is external, I can never say this word. The fourth step is externalization. And the reason I put this as the fourth step, because when you're constantly in that situation with your teenager, right? When they're constantly being aggressive towards you, showing disrespect or hurting other people in the family, damaging the property, you have to keep spending money on the replacement. It's really, really difficult for you to manage and maintain a good relationship with your teenager. And it's not because you don't want to, it's because it's hard, right? When you're trying everything you can as a parent to give your children, teenage children, everything they need, and how they return the love and favor is to trash the house, swear at you. And it's hurtful. And sometimes that hurt can turn into anger. And it's not like you don't love your son or your teenage children or daughter. It's you don't like their behavior. And that sometimes can seek out, is it leak out of us? Sometimes you're so unhappy about somebody, or at work, and you try to like suppress it, but you just can't help it. It will still come out one way or another, right? So this could be having to constantly deal with this, having that feelings about, how your children treat you can be very difficult to navigate. And so that's why I think it's really important we think about externalization. And that means is your your teenager children are not the problems, right? They're struggling themselves. That's really, really important to say this. Is your teenager is struggling themselves, and that's why they're showing you through their behavior. They don't know how to tell you, Mom, this is struggling me, this is killing me, or Dad, I really don't know how to navigate this of a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, or I don't really know about my sexuality. If I tell you I am this, will you accept me? So there's many, many things to think about. And so your teenager is hurting too. So it's really important to think about the problem is not lying within your teenager. It's outside. The problem is the problem. The person is not the problem. And it's really difficult to go into detail with this. However, you want to be thinking about, when aggression is around, you can give an aggression a name. So you can when aggression, what is the aggression called? It could be George. I'm sorry, George. But the reason it's George because I just thought about my turtles. His name is George, but he's the most gentle turtle ever. So when George is around, what happens to you? What happens to how do people respond to George? How does George tell you what to do? How does he decide? How does he influence what you do? Right? So you're trying to take this thing out, and it's not within your teenage children. Let's see if I remember I already say really clearly previously is there are many reasons that's driving your teenagers. However, I put this step in because I want the parents to feel like actually it's not my teenager is the problem. It's actually that aggression, George, is the problem. And how do we as a family learn to manage George better together? So that's the fourth step. The fifth step is the aftermath moments. And this is such an important step, but people don't talk about, or parents really struggle to do it because I can understand they probably would be worried about, oh, if I go back to speak to my teenage children again, what is going to happen? Is it going to be another episode of aggression, or is it going to hurt somebody, or is it, something is going to get damaged again? It's totally understandable, but there's certain condition you want to be having this after moments chat of, number one, you don't want to be when you're still upset, and you don't want to talk about it when your teenager is still upset or late at night or when you're both tired. You want to be in a place where you feel good, you feel like, oh, I'm relaxed, or in a neutral environment. I can speak to my teenager about it. And it's how you speak about your teenager's behavior as well. It's being like, so these moments, after moment chats is really important, because when those moments, when the aggression is in action, they don't have any capacity to think or articulate what's going on. Even ourselves struggle, right? From the example I've gave it to you. So it's really important to think about those challenges with your teenager at the aftermath moments. It's like, tell me about the other day, son. What was troubling you so much that you got so upset? You feel like you need to smash the chair, right? See the tone and how you ask, you've been curious. So your son might be telling me, oh, I was just like, oh, I fell out with my girlfriend. So they would be thinking about, right, let's think about next time how we can do things differently so you don't use the chair or hurt someone in the family home. Or think about when next time you have a fallout with your girlfriend, what are the things you can do? And remember, teenagers really struggle with problem solve. So we, as parents, really need to help them to problem solve. This is a skill set. And remember, you don't always have to go through everything. You can just choose one really important thing to speak to your teenage child. You know what? And when they're also, remember, when they're doing really well, you can tell them, yeah, the other day, I saw you did when you're getting really upset, you actually used the strategy to make yourself feel better. That was really good, right? These also include in the after moments chats, because you want your teenager to know they're doing really well. And if they're struggling to use the strategy, you want to include that in the conversation as well. You know what? I saw you got really upset, and I was trying to ask you to do the strategies to make you feel better, but I can see you're struggling with that. So what can I do next time to help you? So you can use those strategies. And these after moments are really, really important, as I say again and again and again, because this is when your teenagers are more likely to listen. Yeah, and to take in whatever you're saying to him. So these are the 5 steps. And so sorry, I can go into much more detail than this. I'm conscious, like, it's been 40 minutes. It's been 40 minutes. Me being speaking about this. But these are the 5 steps. Is tracking. Second step is the map. Is like the teen aggression map, what is driving it, sustaining it, keeping it happening in the family home. Thinking about system drivers. And it's not always about your teenagers' behavior or the drivers lying within themselves. The third step is, how can I forget about the third step? It's the de-escalation strategies. All right, we talk about the escalation strategies and what needs to be included. The fourth step is the externalization. Oh gosh, I'm frustrated with myself. And then the fifth step is the aftermath moments, which are really important. Each step is really, really important. And sometimes I hold occasional online event to talk about, to help parents to think about teenage aggression. But I probably will be thinking about doing an online course for the parents. And once it's released, you'll be informed, because I think you'll be more beneficial for the parents to be able to think about this in a space and a time where they feel safe and secure. And remember, I mentioned earlier, there's a stigma and people are worried about judgment. And I don't want parents to feel like when they come to the events or the events or speaking to in a group, they feel, I don't feel comfortable about this. Not like people are feeling uncomfortable coming to the event. I've been reflecting on this. I actually think, you know what? If I have posters on social media, yet nobody has responded to the message, And my question simply is about, can you tell me who here actually have experience of your teenager's aggression at home? And this is a very lively, active group. However, for the whole day, or actually till this day, it has been a month or 2 months, there was not one comment whatsoever. And it made me think about, Actually, this is really telling because parents are struggling to talk about these things, and there's no need for more pressure on the parents to go like, oh, I have to get help, and then I have to be in the group, I have to attend this online event and then talk about all these things. So hence I'm thinking, and I'm changing my thinking is, how can I make it easier for parents to get access for support without having the pressure of thinking, oh my God, I have to go online, I have to talk about these things. Of course, unless you're working with them one-to-one, there wouldn't be an issue. But I'm just thinking about more parents, in globally, there's a lot of parents who are struggling with their teenagers' aggression. And I hope today's steps and the episodes that today what I speak about will be it is helpful. And please do follow me on Teen Talk, and please do subscribe so more parents can find the show organically. But I also want to encourage you to follow me on YouTube as well. It's exactly the same title as I say earlier. You will be able to find more resources and some general ideas how you can navigate this part of the journey, because parenting a teen is really challenging, and I know how more difficult it is to parent a teenager who is presenting challenging behavior, who is struggling with stuff but don't know how to tell you, but through their behavior. And it's really, really hard. So do reach out for support. And that may not be me, it could be someone else, but just make sure you have a village around you to support you. Thank you for listening today, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you to everyone at home or on the go for listening. If you find this show helpful, please hit that follow or subscribe button. It does wonders for the show, so more people can find Teen Talk, navigating teen challenging behavior organically. If you have any questions about anything we talk about, please drop me a line at pei@teentalkpod.com. That is PEI-I@teentalkpod.com. I read every email I get, whether that's an episode idea, a guest recommendation, or just a simple note about how the show has impacted you. I'd love to hear from you. I am Pei-I, and I'll see you on the next episode.